Hey YouTube, DDR Guy 300 here again. Taking another stab at this video topic. I wasn't exactly happy with the last one I recorded, so I'm trying again. First things first, I'm going to be doing a giveaway for the new core set 2020 Planeswalker decks on MTG Arena, so they're just going to be the codes that I'm giving away. All you have to do is leave a like, leave a comment, and be subscribed and you'll be automatically entered to win. I'm going to be giving away each color deck to one person, and then, or each color deck to 5 different people, and then um, one lucky person's going to win all 5 color decks. So 6 people will be winning something for this drawing. Um, yeah, that's all I got for that. Now, on to the topic at hand. Um, I'm not really sure how to go about describing this, but it's just something that I've come to notice that is uh, the way MTG Arena is structured and the type of player base that it is geared toward. In other words, the customer that it's presented to, the customer that it tries to seek out. And there's really only 2 types of customers. All right. There's the initial customer who will probably just get the 2 welcome packs, the um, 14.99 one and the 4.99 one that I've already bought, because they just seem like good, welcome packs to be trying the game out, and that's a good way of converting the free to players into some sense of monetary value, right? I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Um, but that's all well and good. But here's the problem with that. That's the first customer that they're trying to appeal to. And the second customer that they're trying to appeal to is pretty much exclusively the whales. Um, as I've discussed in one of my last videos, which you should go check out, I'll try to have a link in the description if I remember. This whole, when you do the math, packs coming out to about $1. In the best case scenario, if you drop $100 on $100 worth of gems, comes out to packs being $1. It's really not the case. Packs are really, the way I estimate it, a minimum of $3, which is on par with, or even more, than what it costs to just go out and buy physical Magic the Gathering packs and not just arena packs. Um, so anyway, what I was talking about is the other customer that Arena is appealing to is exclusively the whales. Because here's what happens. People will eventually here's a good example of what I've kind of struggled with recently. I went ahead on one of my accounts and said, okay, you know what? I'm going to do red deck wins. I'm going to go ahead and construct it, and because I see it all the time, so clearly it's got a decent win rate, and I'm going to go ahead and see what all the buzz is about. Now, I do that. I make it. I also make the Cavalcade deck, because I see that a lot too, and kind of get my ass handed to me there. So I do that. I make these decks, and I try several of these constructed events, which are just, best of one wins, and I get like 1 win to 3 wins every time, and that's it. And I'm going up, and I still go up against. It was like 80% Orzhov vampires and red deck wins, and so then we come to the problem that exists with the um, free-to-play model of that first customer base of just trying to extract a few dollars from a few million people just one time. You get to the problem of you save up your gold, you save up your money, you decide, okay, I'd like to make this deck that seems to be doing pretty well or seems like it would do really well, and then you make it, and then you get your ass handed to you in a high enough ranked system, which is a problem in and of itself. Okay. You get your ass handed to you in high enough ranked or constructed event or traditional constructed, whatever it is you want to call it, and through those losses, you are more pushed into that corner of realization of what it's going to take to experience a better version of this game. And what it's going to take is the willingness of you to basically become a whale. Because in order to experience the game to its fullest, in order to be able to make multiple decks, in order to stand your own, in order to learn the meta well, in order to have a good chance at doing well, what you need to do is be dumping hundreds and hundreds of dollars on these sets to have the large enough pool to make the decks you want to play with. Because yeah, you can see I've already used up a good amount of my rares and uncommons and commons. I haven't used any mythics, to make red deck wins. And you're, as the player who's trying to be frugal, as the player who's only bought those 2 welcome packs and is doing their daily goals and getting roughly 1,000 gold a day, a little more than that if you're just doing it efficiently, which is just first 4 wins. The person who's doing that ultimately comes to that wall of, okay, I'm saving to build this one deck. They build it, and then they learn its weakness. I guess that's the best way of putting it, is they learn its weaknesses or its shortcomings once it's built after the fact. And in order to fix it, it's going to take, X number more of wild cards, when in reality they've probably already spent 80% of their wild cards to make that one deck. So what is it that they have to do to get beyond that? Well, to get beyond that is, like I said, you need to be a whale, because you have what I just described, which was the frugal player coming to the realization that I just described there, or and then coming up to the wall of, well, you need more wildcards to fix this now, but you already spent it. Oops, oh well. Either give us more money or get out. Or you have the whale type behavior, which is spending hundreds of dollars on this game a month to do 2 things. You're increasing the pool of items that you've acquired through the booster packs. You're making it so that most of these are all here, and you've got 3s and 4s, and if they're rares, 1 to 2s, 2 to 3s, mythics, maybe 1 or 2 of those. You're having it so that the pool is maximized, is to more of a maximal state, and so that 2 things are happening. The first thing is you have this large pool to pull from to make different decks, to tweak the decks that you're trying to make work and trying to make work well. And then what you're also having happen at the same time is you're getting many, 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 many more wild cards on top of that. So not only are you making it so that you have a larger pool of cards to draw from when you're constructing decks that just are already in your inventory, you're needing to use less. You're needing to use less wild cards twice here. 1, by what's already there in the inventory. 2, because you've purchased so many packs and accumulated so many wildcard points, whether they be, from the 6-pack wheel or 30-pack if it's a mythic, or from them actually dropping from packs randomly. You have both of those pools are at a more optimized and maximal state. And that's really... I hate that this game is designed that way, because it's very cynical. Here's the free-to-play model, where we've discerned that we can, get that initial, here's where we're gonna make a lot of money in 2 separate ways. 1, by people who just come on, try out the game, buy the welcome packs, and then either leave or just grind to where it's like, we don't care about them anymore because we're not making money off of them, so who cares? It's either so they've either in both cases they've given them that $20 and, spent it on the mastery pass most likely. Um, but at any rate, they've given them that $20 and it's like, okay, that's the first group. And the second group we can appeal to is the group that we can optimally condition to just lay down the cash for these packs. And that's the kind of system that the wild card and the kind of, every account getting a unique experience bullshit answer to the can you buy and sell singles. That's what we have instead. We have this, you can either pay $20 and then have fun grinding for the rest of your life, or just decide the game's not for you and move on, but they don't care because they've gotten the $20 out of you. Or you're going to be the larger group that Wizards of the Coast has decided they're going to be predatory against, because that's basically what this is. It's, if you want to experience more of the game, give us more money. And it's not okay. It's extremely disrespectful and extremely cynical, because what they've done is they've created a game where instead of making it so that you can making it so that they, I would love to see the statistics. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I'd love to see the stats that told them to make the game this way instead of another way, because there's like a few $1,000,000 difference in profit. So what they've effectively done is they've decided to make a bad game over a good game for the sake of more money, and I find that extremely disturbing. The fact that we live in a world where you have to, effectively cripple the thing that you want to create that could be good, that could be fun, for the sake of a few percentage points more in profit. That's highly disturbing to me. And that few percentage points in profit, the larger issue at hand is that difference in percentage points is telling as far as the type of disrespect Wizards of the Coast has for you as a customer. Because what it says is, we want to make this 5-10% more in net gross profits, whatever you want to call it, and we're choosing to do that at the expense of making the game enjoyable. Because let's run down why this game is not enjoyable, okay? Number one is the packs. Well, we'll get to the packs in a minute. But number one, when you build a deck that has taken so long to save up the wild cards for, and you find that it isn't what you thought it was, or you find yourself having your ass handed to you by this deck or another deck, once you've spent those wild cards and spent the time and the energy and the money on saving up for that and trying to make it work, and then you just get shafted by it, that hurts a lot more, especially when you see the cost of what booster packs are outside of your daily goals and gold and whatnot. That hurts a lot more when you lose with something like that, when it's taken what has felt like a long time to make what you thought was a good deck, and it turns out not to be good. Or, it's where you just get stomped out by the whales, or the people who really know what they're doing a lot more. And the way I'm not saying, people are whiny bitches. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, you mitigate that, but you're going to have, it's going to feel a lot different when you lose if you've, taken however long to construct the deck you want to construct, see that it's less than you thought it was. That's going to hurt more when it's taken longer and more money and time and energy to make than if it took less time and energy. So let's just, for example, say that packs cost what I believe they should cost. Like, leave the gold accumulation the way it is, but make it so that, well, I guess gems is what you call it. Make it so that gems was different. Make it so that $100 in gems gets you 100,000 gems, okay? because I think these packs need to be 20 cents a piece. And here's why. Because that would make for a more enjoyable game. If you go and you make a deck from your free-to-play account, or mostly free-to-play account, and you've accumulated the wild cards, and you've built what you thought would be a good contender for being able to win, to being able to get through maybe gold and maybe a little bit of platinum, or for constructed, or for traditional constructed or single game constructed, and you go and you find that it wasn't the case, the answer then is, well, you need to go and buy more packs to to fix that, to try and to learn from that mistake. But the problem with the way the system is now, it's a costly ass mistake. Very costly. At $1 a pack, are you kidding me? Which, again, I'm going to keep saying, really is more like $3 a pack, if not more. It's just like, that's not worth it. And that's when people come to that barrier of them realizing, okay, this is as far as I can go, to where most normal people would be like, it's not worth it beyond this point. So it's either I stick as that person and kind of accept that the game either isn't for me, or I just have to grind every day until I get more and just be miserable playing it, or I have to, go into whale territory and spend hundreds of dollars on this a month so I can have that double stacking effect that I was talking about earlier, where you increase the card pool of what you have, as well as the wild cards that you get from opening the packs. And that's just not worth it for 99% of people when they come to this wall. But if you make booster packs like 20 cents a piece, it's like, okay, I built a deck, I did all right, but I could do better. What do I have to do? Like, what's this going to cost me if I want to try again? It's the try again mentality. And if the answer is 20 cents a pack, most people can see themselves doing that. They'll be like, okay, I could maybe spend $50 on this a month, maybe, if it means I can have a more enjoyable experience. And that $50 a month, let's say, allows them to, if booster packs are like 20 cents a piece, allows them to more fully experience what Magic the Gathering is, and learn from their mistakes, and have it not be as big of a deal if you lose, let's say. Or if you just find that your deck isn't quite what it is, or it needs more to get going, or you get to that dual land wall, because Lord knows that's a big part of it. I've been playing for over a month, and my main account still doesn't even have enough wild cards to be able to have to get all the dual lands that it needs, plus the rares and the mythics for the deck that I want to build. And just all that to say, the lands are a big hindrance in the first place, but they become exponentially less of a hindrance if you have cheaper items, if you have cheaper booster packs. And that's part of what's going to make the game more enjoyable. Because, like, look at this, for example. I've done this a good 6 or 7 times today, or yesterday, or whenever the hell it was I did this. And I run against Orzhov and Red Deck wins, and just all kinds of crap that beat out my deck that I thought was good, that people showed me was good. I know I'm missing Chain Whirlers, and I guess they're good, and I guess I'll have to make them, but it's like, that wouldn't have made that big of a difference, to be honest. But that's the other thing. That's kind of part 2 of what would make the game more enjoyable. If I'm paying 500 gold, like, I get it, you don't want the prize output to be too high, but if people are losing at 1 and 3 wins all the time, like, it's not a good feeling when you just slowly feel yourself losing your gold to the attrition factor of losing those single games or losing those matches. And it's like, you could be more generous with this. You really could. Like, 0 wins, give, who knows, 200 gold. 1 win, give 400 gold. Like, double the gold output here. And it's like, if most people get to 2 and 3 wins, it's like, congratulations, you've played 2 to 3 games and you got 300 more gold. It's like that's not that much of an output. And so say you get to 4 and 5 wins, it's like, congrats, 4 wins. Again, if this is doubled, it's like congrats, you double your money. 5 wins, continuing to do really well. If you get to 7 wins, say you quadruple your money. But again, making it double. But at the end of the day, it's not that much to give people, like, it's not a positive reinforcement mentality when most people are going to lose from here down, and it's like you don't even get to the point to where you break even, and you just create this bad end user experience of your game by having it structured that way, when you could be more generous with this in-game currency that isn't even going to give them, like, it's not even going to hurt you that much. It's just going to make your game more enjoyable, more playable. And especially this here with the cards, make it so that when they get to 1 win, give them a rare card, give them a random rare. And then, 3 wins, 2 random rares. 5 wins and 6 wins, 3 random rares. 7 wins, or, throw some mythics in there. Do, like, all uncommons here, 1 rare, 2 uncommons, 2 rare, 1 uncommon, 3 rare, 3 rares, and potentially a mythic. You know what I'm saying? Just be slightly more generous, because how much is that really going to affect your bottom line if you are more generous with the output of the prize support here? It really isn't, because allowing more people to accumulate, to break even quicker, like, if you allow them to break even quicker, it'll make them want to come back. It's like, all right, well, it's more fun if you can get just like 1 win and get your money back. Like, that's more fun than getting 3 wins and still losing out, and ultimately just being like, well, this was a huge waste of time. Whereas the flip side of that, where if you'd allow people to have a better prize output and allow them to be able to claim more based on how well they've done, how much is that really costing you? If the average person, let's say, gets 3 wins and they cash out at, let's say, 800 gold, and let's say at least 1 rare and 2 uncommons, just as an example, how long is that going to take someone? Probably, anywhere from 30 minutes to, let's just say 30 minutes, okay? So it's going to take them 30 minutes to get less than 1/3 of a pack, but like it would encourage them to come back more. The way this is set up is hugely cynical, because if you lose to shit sooner, it's going to feel worse than if you lose to shit later. Or if you lose to shit sooner and you still cash out like crap. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense as to why they designed it this way, other than, hey, you should give us a shit ton more money that's completely out of the effing ballpark and not at all within the realm of reason. And that's the kind of structure that you have here with these kind of events. Because the people who are getting these wins, it's like, congratulations, you're taking your Esper Control and Esper Mill and just Dimir Control and just all the other cancerous decks of the format that are just tier 0 and up. And it's like, those are the people who are beating you at win 5, 6, and 7. And so those people are winning what? Double their money, so 500. So they make 500 gold for, let's say, over an hour's worth of their work. It's like there's so much of an unnecessary safeguard against players being able to generate in-game revenue. But at the same time, that's really fixed if you make packs like 20 cents a piece. But like, you keep the gold at the same, because if you can still farm and get a pack a day and farm these constructed events and get half of a pack to a pack for completing the whole thing, even if you even did that, it's like you can be more generous with it, because if you make the packs reasonably priced, but you keep the gold output the same, but actually do what I said, which is make the gold output more generous here, at least double here, so you only have to get 1 to 2 wins to break even, and it doesn't feel bad when you don't hit the break even point, because that's what's going to make people decide for themselves, well, was it worth it or not worth it? And as long as it was not a waste of money, they're going to be okay walking away from that or signing up and trying again. Otherwise, with this system, they're just going to be frustrated with it. But again, the point that I was getting at was you can, if you make packs 20 cents a piece, you can afford to then make the output here greater, because let's say you double the output. It's like 7 wins. You win 1,500 gold. Congratulations. That converts to 30 cents. And no one's going to just spend their time sitting there grinding it until they, amass enough to get free packs. It's like, at that point, you make it definitely not worth it, where it's like, just give us 20 cents a piece for these packs. And I don't know, I'm rambling at this point, but the basic theme of this video that I was trying to get out there was just this idea that Wizards of the Coast decided to go with a design for an online system that does not respect you as a customer, as a player, as a person, as any kind of living entity, as a human. It just doesn't, because that few percentage points more in profit that their research has told them they can get by designing the system this way, instead of a more enjoyable way, instead of a more affordable way, instead of a better experience, they build it this way to make those few percentage points more, instead of a more fun way of building it. So they effectively have decided to tell you, as customers, as players, as people, as human beings, that rather than make something that's good and fun and in all actuality would probably convert more people to Magic than in the other model, they've decided that the short-sightedness of how much more money, how much of a few percentage points more they can make off of you by making the game objectively terrible, by constructing it in a way that is appealing to the whale base and to the first purchase base, and that's it. They've effectively said, we value that more than giving you a good experience. We value extracting the money from your, hardworking hands way more than actually making something that's fun. And that, I think, is just unbelievable. And I know it's cynical, but they're the ones that are doing it. They're the ones that have decided to adopt this model of, it's every penny more they can get. They don't care how many people they step over to get to it. And it's just this complete, I don't understand this capitalistic culture of, I'm not saying capitalism's bad, but like this capitalist culture of maximal profit at any expense, and the fact that that model is kind of supported just by whatever people will end up paying. It's perverted. And it makes me genuinely sad and distraught that, as a person who might find enjoyment in this game that I hadn't, played in years, and it's like, I'd like to be able to have an enjoyable platform to experience Magic the Gathering in, and to, have maybe a new hobby, but the fact that it's behind such a massive paywall that is far beyond any reasonable person's reach of what they're willing to spend, and the fact that they've effectively adopted that model for the sake of, like I said, a few more percentage points in profit, rather than actually focus on making something good and fun and enjoyable. I can't believe that that's the route that they decided to go. That few percentage points more is worth people's happiness and enjoyment and positive experience in what they've created. And that's the point that I'm trying to get across, is that this kind of structure proves that they don't give a fuck about you. That they don't care. They don't care the idea of creating something good and watching the good that comes from it is completely lost on them and lost on most business ventures in the modern era. And it's really telling as to how much they don't respect you or any of their player base. Because I mean, think about it. If you made something that was structured to create something good, to create something that was enjoyable, to where you didn't just have this wall that you eventually come to. Like take for example the ranking system. This is a terrible ranking system. A terrible ranking system. Like the fact that just the way it's designed, which I'm sure I've already talked about before, where once you reach gold and it's, one tick up per win, one tick down per loss, and it's like an even 1-to-1 exchange, and that each tier you're only protected 3 losses in that tier if you're all the way back down to the bottom of the tier, and then after those 3 losses you're going to go back to the previous tier. It's so horribly designed. It's like, why not design a system that doesn't penalize you so much for losing? It's just going to create something that's more enjoyable. But no, I don't know. I'm getting off on a tangent there. All I'm trying to say is that this game was designed with the idea of the big spender in mind, for that few percentage points more that they can make in profit, rather than designed as a positive experience that they want you to be able to enjoy at a reasonable price. And that's a model that would probably have converted more people into actually playing it than not. And that's the other thing, because if it was well enough priced, you don't think the people who already play Paper Magic wouldn't dump a bunch of money in here as well, just as like a playtesting platform, and still continue to play in the real world? You don't think that's going to happen? And worst case scenario, if you try that experiment and the numbers are showing you it's not going in a favorable direction, then either make some adjustments or shut it down, or just make the adjustment more in the direction of appealing to the whales, and you just do it little by little so that it's a good balance of what's fun for people to enjoy and experience, but also makes you enough money / doesn't lose you too much money. And that's not the way Arena has been designed. And that's clear based on just all of the evidence that I laid out there in a very haphazardly disorganized way. So I should wrap this up. For anyone who's still listening, thanks. Sorry that it's very disorganized. Again, like, subscribe, leave a comment. You'll be make sure you're subscribed and leave the comment, and you'll automatically be entered for the Core 2020 Planeswalker Decks giveaway. Oh, I wanted to mention one more thing that was just I forgot to mention. That was a very big what's the word? Hang on, let me see here. Nope, just to stop recording. I can't pause it. So another big piece of evidence that shows how little respect Wizards of the Coast has for you. All you have to do is look up the Challenger decks. All right, let me see if I can find them here. Challenger Decks 2019. Challenger Decks 2019. MTG Arena code. And we'll go to Reddit. Go over here. Last Planeswalker decks have had copies inside that unlock the deck on Arena, blah, 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 blah. Do you think they should include a similar code? How likely is that? I forget where here it says it, but someone from like Magic R&D has said, no, we did not include codes in this one. We'll continue to keep in mind this for future products, which is an absolute crock. Because you want to know the real reason why they didn't include codes in the Challenger decks? That was like, what the heck was it? Lightning, here it is. Lightning Aggro, Deadly Discovery. You want to know why those weren't? Here we go. Here's the tweet. These Challenger decks don't contain any redeemable codes for MTG Arena. We're happy to forward this feedback to our internal teams for future products. bullshit. That is not feedback. They made the complete overt decision to not have codes in the challenger decks. Why? Because it's too much value to a player. If you go through and you look at those challenger decks and you see what's in them, I mean, Lightning Aggro has the most rares, yes, and it's probably the most aggressive. But if you look at the rest of the decks, they all have, I think, 1 to 2 mythics. It might just be 1 mythic, I don't recall. But they have between like 9 and 12 rares. And the decks that do contain codes that are redeemable for MTG Arena, like the ones that I'm doing a giveaway for, yes, they have the mythic, they have the mediocre mythic Planeswalker that's in all the Planeswalker decks. So that's the mythic that they give you. And yes, it comes with 4 rares, but really only 2 rares it comes with, because the 2 rares that specifically mention the Planeswalker and fetching it from your deck specifically mention that Planeswalker that's the centerpiece of the deck and fetching it from the deck to your hand. Those don't count as rares, all right? So the only other rares are 2 rares. It's like one of one color and one of another, and those are the 2 rares that you get in that deck. The challenger decks that have like 1 to 2 mythics, I might be wrong on that. It might just be 1 mythic, but they have 1 to 2 mythics that are already in a set and not like a deck exclusive, on top of the 9 to 12 rares that are useful that can allow you to make a competitive deck. They didn't want to give players that much value for a code. Screw the fact that it would have probably made them sell more decks to begin with if there's more value in it, because that code's going to be valuable. Screw that. They don't want arena players to just be able to default to some pretty decent deck without having to spend that 10 plus rare wild cards to get the same thing. They want them to see that deck online and say, "Oh well, there's no code with it. If you want it, you got to use your wild cards." Fuck you, Wizards. Fuck you. That's horribly disrespectful to your player base. This was not we'll take the feedback into consideration. This was, you already planned not to give it to them because you knew that it would give players too much value. You knew it would give them a deck that they could maybe stand their own with, but no, you'd rather have them struggle through dailies and keep hitting that wall of, you either need to be a whale or you need to just suck it up and shut up, because we're trying to run a business here and we don't give any fucks about you. That's all I got for this video. The Wizards can suck a dick. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe, get free decks.